hope for these last 6 games?
Great question. I think the thing that gives me hope is that I see them keep fighting. I see how hard we work in practice. I see the camaraderie with the players, how they deal with each other. I see a care factor. There are points in the game where you can see we're fighting, trying to get wins. So that gives me hope.
Follow up on that. What's the next step, in your opinion? This season I'm talking about.
The next step for me with these guys is just continue to get lucky, try to get lucky. And what I mean by that is the way we finished the game against Georgia Tech, the second half, down the stretch of the game, there was a point where the game was getting away from us. They had an 8, 9, 10-point lead, whatever it was. I challenged them, guys, we have to do it now. We have to start now. And they responded. That's the next step. We have to consistently play the type of basketball that's down the stretch of games where we're efficient, where we're fighting, where we're connected on offense and defense.
Kenny, the last time you faced Pitt, they came to your home court and beat you by 13. What is different about your team now as you go into this matchup on the road, and do you feel like your team can put together a more complete performance against them?
Well, one, I didn't think Trey White did not play in that game. That's one major piece. I didn't think we played particularly well. Hopefully that's another piece that we play better. But we did some good things in the game. We just got to be connected. I think we are a better team since that point. I believe we are. We've played better since that point. We just got to go out and fight.
Going off that, what's your take on Pitt? I think they're coming off like a 4 or 5 game win streak. They just beat Virginia at home. They snapped a long home winning streak there. How do you think that they've grown since the last time you've played?
I think they're hot. I think they're shooting the ball well. I think they have a swag. I think they have the belief factor that they belong. And what I mean by they belong in the upper echelon of this conference. So it's not going to be easy. They're playing for a lot, which is, in my mind, I like, because when teams are playing for what they're playing for, to try to get in the tournament and try to be one of the 3 or 4 or 5 best teams in the conference, if it gets tight, they may get tight. And I'm not saying they will, but we got to help them get tight. They're a good team. They're a well-coached team. They score the ball very well from multiple spots. They get after you. We just got to go in there and fight and see what happens.
It didn't happen against Georgia Tech, as you noted, but against the team the other night, had a bad second half. Do you see any signs, Kenny, that maybe the attrition is getting to you? It ran out of gas a little bit or not? Is that a factor?
No, it's actually the opposite. I think we've been better in second halves. I think that we, at times, get emotional. I thought against Boston College, guys got caught up in the physicality of the game and what the ref is calling and not calling, and that took a toll on how they approached the game. But overall, I like what we're doing. I just think for us, we have to stay committed to what we're trying to do on the court, and that's play together, play unselfish, fight, talk to each other, communicate. And then at the end of it, we can't have guys not play well. We're down players, but nobody cares. The other team doesn't care, except me. So we have to go out and every guy that steps on the floor, every guy that has a jersey on his back better be ready to go in and contribute. That's important.
Kenny, what's the biggest challenge for your group defensively right now? To take a step forward on that end of the floor at this point in the season, what are you telling them?
Well, the main thing is that you can't win in basketball if you don't defend. I really like what we're doing offensively when we're playing together. Multiple guys are scoring. We're putting up big numbers. But at the end of the day, if you're going to win, you got to get stops. And that's hard for a young team A young team that primarily individually have been scorers, and now they're being asked to defend, to change their mentality into, I know that I've always been this guy since I've been born. Now I have to buy into fighting on defense, keeping the ball in front, willing a guy to get a stop, not just being there saying it was a good defense and he made a shot. That's not going to get it done. You have to will him to miss the shot. They get one shot and we have to rebound the ball. We can't give teams, live ball turnovers and they go get layups or easy threes in transition. That has hurt us. We have to be more solid. There's a multitude of things that it's attributed to, but overall, we just got to get better defensively.
You spoke about the injuries. I'm just wondering how Sky's doing. I had heard he's been in a lot of pain. Just wondering, how you see his timetable.
Well, I know he's day to day. I know it's a lot of it is based off his pain tolerance. Hadn't seen him today. We hadn't practiced yet, so we'll see. We'll see.
Has he been able to do some drills in practice?
He worked out. He worked out a little bit yesterday. Went through a couple of drills, so we'll see what he's able to do today.
Are you optimistic?
I am, but I'm always optimistic.
Going back to the game you played at Pitt last year, that was like a 34-point loss. Is there anything that sticks out to you from that game? Going in there and be it like the crowd or just of last year's team, it felt like there were moments where it kind of gave up on the game, but this year's team seems to be very different. But is there anything from that game that sticks out to you?
Well, I'll say this to you, Brooks. I'm trying to forget about last year's game. I want to remember. I looked at our game this year, earlier in the year. I saw some good things that we did. We have to build on that and not worry about, a 34-point loss. There's not much good that'll be into that, and I don't want these guys to give up on it. I want them in the frame of mind where they're fighting to get a win.
How much does all these injuries and so forth play into the difficulty of having a rotation and depth, any number of things?
It's everything. When you don't know who you're going to have, when you're going to have them, how you're going to have them, you're trying to piece it together the best you can. And there's no, set way that you can go about it. You have to see what you got, put it together, and go from there with it. And that's what we've done. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of being without guys, and we've won with guys not being on the floor that are integral parts of what we're doing.
Kenny, the overall feel right now in the locker room, the vibe, if you will, what is it, and how do you keep these guys motivated down the stretch here in the final 6 games?
We don't look at it like it's the final 6 games. We look at it like it's day-to-day. My message is win today. We'll worry about Pitt tomorrow. So today is about having a great practice, great energy, focus on the things that we need to focus on to prepare to get a win. And then tomorrow we'll worry about exactly how we're going to fight to beat Pittsburgh. Now, we'll cover and prepare for them today, but the message is win today. I need guys that are not looking ahead saying we got 6 games left. I need guys saying I'm going to be the best that I can be today, and then tomorrow I'm going to be the best that I can be tomorrow.
As I'm sure you're aware, Pitt hit 14 three-pointers, shot over 50% against a pretty good defensive team the other night. How do you deal with that? And they've got some inside power, too.
Again, they're a very good offensive team. They shoot a lot of threes. We're going to have to deal with that. At times, it's going to look awkward. We may be shorthanded. I don't know for sure yet. Going to have to mix in some zone. Going to have to switch to keep them from getting threes because we don't want to be in rotations. We want to be on our man. And then the goal is to not let them make threes. The goal is for them to take tough twos. And if they beat us shooting tough twos, that's fine. But at the end of the day, when a team that's shooting 27, 28 threes a game, you know what their game plan is going to be.
Kenny, when Sky's day-to-day right now, I would imagine it puts a little more pressure on Tylor as like your primary ball handler. And you talked a little bit about how the emotions of the game can affect guys at times. Do you have conversations with him about handling that better, especially now when there's a little more pressure on him he's got to be out there more?
No question. I think that's a part of his maturation. That's a part of a young player learning about himself and learning how to make the adjustments to winning basketball, not just basketball. This isn't high school or AAU. No disrespect to those two entities, but this is big business. This is winning basketball. This program is a winning program, and you have to play winning ball, and your emotions got to be in check in order to be steady. We need you steady. You are the head of the snake. So at that position, you got to know what everybody's doing. If you're erratic, how can we expect the team not to be?
Anything else for Coach? All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks.